Yeah. Hi, John. Hope you're doing well. The weather is freezing as hell in here in Britain. I know you probably deal with worse in Norway, so you're probably looking at me and thinking, God, you're a bit soft, but hey. And I know Las Vegas is going to be on this weekend, but I am struggling to feel super excited because, let's face it, I don't want to go on about, who again. It's just, we're all talking about next season already. The only thing that's interesting about this season is now the constructors' fight. But of course, no one knows whether Lando and Oscar are going to get the job done. Red Bull still have a chance of winning the constructors. I don't know what to talk about. It's just such a weird feeling, but truth be told, I mean, Lando Norris was never good enough to really fight for a world championship, and unless he improves dramatically, then he might never be good enough to ever really contend for a championship ever. So it's really up to him to sort himself out. Like, I can't sit there and be like, hello, Pookie. Hello, John Jensen. Hope you're all doing well. Your nose is running non-stop -1. Oh, it's only slightly colder in Norway than it is over here in Britain. Yeah, it's really hard to deal with runny noses at this time of year. I mean, I had a bloody nose the other day, so that was horrible. Hope everyone's doing well in the chat. Just eating some fish and stuff. Stop. Also got trying to put a poll in the chat. Who will be McLaren's #1, Lando or Oscar? I knew you'd say that. I mean, Leclerc, Hamilton are at Ferrari next year. Russell isn't leaving Mercedes. Oh, McLaren fell out with Alonso a long time ago. It's not really much choice when it comes to drivers, I'm afraid, for McLaren. Like, I know Colin Pinto and Bottas are there, but unless they're absolutely going to produce a miracle, then apparently, I think I heard rumours that Mick Schumacher is still going to be on the market. I don't know who. I don't know why I still keep hearing Mick Schumacher. Viva Las Vegas. No, I don't listen to Elvis Presley. I'm afraid. I am well aware of his music. Yes, I know the song Viva Las Vegas, but I don't listen to it. I mean, the race is going to be on what? On at like 10 o'clock in the night time in America, Saturday night, and it's going to be like 6 o'clock in Britain in the morning, 7 in Europe. So, I mean, I know it's not over, the championship fight between Lando and Max, but it really is realistically over. Like, we need like 3 DNS from Max, and even then, I'm not even sure Lando can take advantage. Obviously, in the last 2 weeks, I've calmed down a lot since Brazil, but very clear that McLaren don't have a driver good enough to fight for the championship, and they don't, well, the strategy team don't, the mentality of the team just doesn't seem to be there either. So I hate being drawn into the same topic, but you know, Alpine are going to rename themselves High Tech, I think, in the future. They're going to be hooking themselves up on Mercedes engines. And anything French about the team is drifting away. And let's be honest, it's just going to kind of go back to what they were like when they were called Toleman or Benetton. Haas have got the Toyota deal. Audi are selling shares in Sauber already. So not really much of a factory team there. And Hulkenberg is probably getting his career on a low note with no podiums. Hope you all have a good Christmas because, well, I mean, I've been entertaining myself in a football instead because let's hope next season gives us better racing and a better championship fight. In all due respect to everyone involved. And I wonder how Adrian Newey will be impressed by Lance Stroll's driving. Can't wait for that. Honestly, I kind of wish they would do Qatar on Abu Dhabi on a Saturday, the main race, because I just want this season done ASAP now. The FIA tried everything they could to keep Lando Norris in the fight, you know, with the penalty to Max in the Brazil sprint race and so on, but can you speak in English? Can you type in English, please? Because I don't know what you're saying. Always writing in Thai. Okay, cheers, John, but you can't read it out. Okay, fair enough. Don't worry, I can barely read any type of Chinese myself because I've got the same problem. I'm probably going to have to spend a bit of time and think about some video topics for next season because, I mean, no one has a clue how Hamilton's going to get on that Ferrari, Kimi Antonelli at Mercedes. What the hell is going on in Red Bull? Well, that's always a video topic. This point, I wouldn't be surprised if going to next season in February, we still don't know who's going to be teammate to Max Verstappen. I mean, I'm certain though next season is going to be the last season that Perez spends at Red Bull because it really is just. I mean, Perez, what's it? Gasly and Albon were kicked out for 4 less. Ricciardo only did about 5 years at Red Bull before he left. Vettel did about 6 years, so next season will be Max's 10th year at Red Bull, but he's obviously an exception. So to get more wind all the time, yeah, absolutely. The cost cap is actually going to help them out for once. But they've lost Adrian Newey, so do they really have the technical mind at the team to really see through his departure? Time will tell. And will they survive the loss of Wheatley and Courtney? I mean, next season is going to we are going to see how good Red Bull really is now from next season onwards. Because, of course, in 26, they've got Ford coming, and who knows what state Ford will be in with their engines. Like, I know we're losing the MGU-H, the heat generator, but still don't know whether Ford's engine will be any good. Fact is, the likes of Honda, Ferrari, Mercedes will all have at least a decade's head start on Ford, even with the heat generator removed, the MGU-H. Obviously, Audi are coming on board, and I can't remember. Is there anyone else coming? Because I know Renault are leaving in next year or the year after, but it's going to be tough for Ford to compete. And obviously, a team like Red Bull, there's high stakes. I am certain we will probably see an RB lineup of Colin Pinto and Lawson next season if Perez stays. They're under discussion. Well, that's a bit weird because surely these rules should be rubber stamped, but are they already having arguments now with like less than 18 months to go? That's a real bad situation to be arguing about stuff like this now in the year late 2024. What can they change now? That's just stupid. But then, of course, it is Formula One, so why are we even shocked? One person has voted, and they've already nudging towards Oscar Piastri. So I think I've said everything I've ever wanted to say about Lando Norris, and I don't want to repeat myself again because it's so boring. It's just gonna. All I'm gonna say is that I kind of hope next season we see Ferrari, Mercedes, and maybe even Aston Martin step up to the championship fight because I think it's safe to say I don't really trust McLaren and the drivers at all. They definitely need. I mean, Oscar. I think will definitely improve. Lando needs to be like needs to improve some way or another. I mean, the only reason why Lando is where he is because he's so naturally quick, but he's got no mentality and no race management skills. I mean, you could argue someone like Hulkenberg, Gasly, Ocon would be better if they were actually quicker and had like better like reflexes and raw speed, but because they're not as quick as Lando, they're stuck in the midfield. So, I mean, it's such a horrible situation we're in with Lando. Bottom teams that finish 6th or 7th need to make their own parts and can't do a Haas on the Williams anymore. Oh dear, so those two teams are going to be in huge trouble because they're going to have to start investing in their own, in actually manufacturing their own original parts again. What's the term? Is it? Oh, OM, is it? Original manufacturer source or something like that. OMS, where obviously the rules mandate that you have to force a constructor to be a real constructor. And none of this stuff we've seen with like Super Aguri, Toro Rosso, and of course Haas in the past 20 years, where they just buy cars, bits and pieces, bio chassis, and modify it. I know Minardi used to do it 20 years ago, and I think I know they're trying to close a loop, trying to like stop Red Bull taking advantage of what they have at their junior RB team, which is going to be renamed Racing Bulls next season. And it's thanks to Racing Bulls that we will be losing the fastest lap point, which I think is a huge shame because, you know, when there's not much going on towards the end of the race, we can always talk about who's going to stop for like soft tyres in the last 4 or 5 laps and try and get the fastest lap point. But with that gone, it's just going to be a bunch of cars coasting to the finish, which is boring. It's only a proposal, yeah, but I know why people are saying stuff like that because they really, really don't want God, they're scared that, I don't know, Ferrari or Mercedes might go and buy another team and basically do what Red Bull's doing. And we're just going to end up with, like, I don't know, only 5 or 6 real teams on the grid one day. I mean, you could say Haas are basically a Ferrari B team, but I mean, with Toyota coming on board as a technical advisor, well, I mean, they're slightly going to pull away from that. Aston Martin, well, they used to be Mercedes' B team when McLaren, well, when when they were called Force India. And of course, they used to have a technical partnership with McLaren back in the day. But of course, now that the Stroll family are in charge of Aston Martin, I think any of that notion is now very much out of the window. United Autosport, well, can United Autosport even afford to pay $250 million to come to F1? That's like, I mean, they're basically just a sports car team running around in the States, so, oh yeah, I know there's Zach Brown's little sports car team over there. I mean, McLaren literally bought out Schmidt Peterson Motorsport, which obviously used to be owned by a paraplegic named by a guy whose surname is Schmidt. I've completely forgot, but obviously he's stuck in a wheelchair. He got horribly, terribly injured in a crash back in 2000 at like the Disneyland Speedway, which of course has now been shut down. Can you believe that there used to be an oval track near, what's it, Florida's Disneyland Resort? Like you just go there to like, what's it? You go on holiday to America, you get on a plane, fly to Florida with your family ticket to go to Disneyland, and this is like 1998, and then next thing you know, it's February, and then you hear a bunch of race cars going around an oval track. You walk over and you realise it's an official IndyCar race taking place. Like, that's crazy. Oh my god, Zach Brown will find a loophole. Yeah, Sam Schmidt. Yeah, I forgot his first name. He's not been like in charge of the team for like basically a decade. That's why I forgot his name. Yeah, quite amazing work he's done, with like working with all the technology to improve mobility for disabled people. Great disability campaigner, just like Clay Regazzoni, who passed away back in 2006 in a horrible motorway crash in Italy. I think Clay Regazzoni won like 5 races in F1 during the 70s and finished runners-up in the 1974 F1 World Championship to Emerson Fittipaldi, who then, of course, went and made a terrible career decision by setting up his own team called Fittipaldi. Got Copersucar, a Brazilian sugar manufacturer, to sponsor them for 5 years, but then they just ran out of money and it destroyed his personal life, collapsed his first marriage, and then he had to like rebuild his fortune again in America and by winning races in IndyCar, and of course he won the Indy 500 twice. So I suppose if there's a will, there's always a way. Don't know how I went on that long tangent, but yeah. And of course Fittipaldi became the first ever driver to win a world championship for Team McLaren, of course. He achieved a lot of firsts. I think he was the first driver to win a race for Lotus after Jochen Rilk got deleted at Monza. Became, one of the sport's youngest race winners before, of course, the likes of Fernando Alonso, Hamilton, Vettel, and Verstappen lowered the record all the way down to 18. And he was for like basically 33 years the youngest F1 champion between 1972 to about 2005 when he won the championship when he was just 25 years old. And then, of course, Alonso, Hamilton, and then Vettel lowered it all the way down to 23 years old. I know Kimi Raikkonen could have taken a record for youngest champion in 2003 had his McLaren not blown up at Nürburgring, and he could have set the record at, what's it, 1 month short of his 24th birthday. So Alonso would have never had any bragging rights to the youngest champion thing ever, and neither would have Hamilton, although of course Vettel would have taken a record eventually anyway. Zach can't be trigger happy. I don't know what Zach Brown's going to do, to be honest. Who knows? I'm not like... All I know is that Max Verstappen is just simply in a league of his own, and I am 99% certain he's going to become the youngest 5-time champion in F1 history. And he'll also take the record for the youngest to win it 5 times in a row, which he's basically getting to like a league of his own, like the true unbreakable F1 records territory, which is going to be amazing. Having said that, like, who knows what Max will do after that. I think once he achieves that, like, I wouldn't be surprised if Max decides to, like, go to Ferrari when Hamilton leaves the team and maybe try and prove that he can win in a car outside of Red Bull and without Adrian Newey about. Maybe Mercedes, but, I mean, I think Mercedes would have to pay him a higher salary to join them because they don't have the prestige Ferrari have. But I have to say, I mean, unless Lando and Oscar react quickly to their season they've had this year, then their stock is going to drop horribly. Like, now that we've got, like, loads of young rookies coming on, joining the grid, Colin Pinto, Lawson, Bortoletto, to name but 3, and, of course, the likes of Antonelli and Behrman joining the grid next year. I know Dohan's going to only have a 5-race deal, so I don't really feel interested talking about him because that doesn't suggest anyone really has any confidence in him, and he just seems like a seat filler. But ignoring him, yeah, Norris and Piastri will be under so much pressure, and if they don't react, they'll be in the midfield very soon, and frankly, I don't know whether I can even feel sorry for them, so... I mean, yeah, obviously the IndyCar team provides, like, I mean, Pato O'Ward. I know Pato O'Ward was considered to be a potential F1 driver, but he got passed over. Colton Herta's been, like, mentioned for a long time, but I think the chance has gone for him as well. But never say never, because I think the pipeline between IndyCar and F1 is beginning to narrow again, and I think everyone, like, I think the politics between the States and Europe is beginning to disappear again because, let's face it, neither series is like quite as big as what it used to be back in the 80s and 90s. So, and most people in the outside world just don't care about America versus Europe like they did before, like 30, 40 years ago, because there are much bigger enemies around the world, like Russia and China circling around. So, I don't know what else to say, folks. It was Alonso who said that, Alonso recommended O'Ward to come to the IndyCar team. Yeah, and I know Alonso is Gabriel Bortoletto's manager, so, but of course, Bortoletto will be going to Sauber, so there could be a bit of conflict of interest, but having said that, I mean... It'll be fun to see Sauber get criticised by Alonso if something happens to Bortoletto next year. Yeah, that's going to be a big one to watch out. I don't really know what else to say. I think I'm pretty tired, just like the rest of you. It's been very cold. Take care, everyone. Here from Crystal Racing. I hope you enjoyed my content. And I'll see you again tomorrow.